All right, guys. Yo, what's up? What's going on? We are live today. We are going to be talking about how to make a KDP activity book interior using Affinity Publisher, right? So, hi, my name is RJ, and that's D.
Hello.
Sup, D?
Hi.
Good morning, everyone. Let's give everyone a few minutes to hop on. If you guys first time here, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, share it. If you guys are over on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Leave any comments, any questions at all. We're going to be getting to those questions too as well throughout the live. We'll probably try to hit them towards the end. Dee's going to share her screen and show you guys how she creates an interior using Affinity Publisher. We've been secretly working on this on the back end. Dee, she's well skilled when it comes to InDesign, and she knows InDesign, but then she's been messing around with Affinity Publisher, and she's like, RJ, let's do a live using Affinity Publisher. I'm like, uh-oh, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So yeah, give it a few minutes and let people hop on. Yeah. Bridget, she's like, good morning. So what's up? Good morning.
Good morning, Bridget.
She was that was 30 minutes early. Yeah, she was that comment was at 6:30 on YouTube. So
dang.
she was part of
waiting. Sitting here waiting.
Yep. Yeah, guys. If you guys are unaware, we've been basically kind of just, this is our third week of going live. We do a weekly live with our private group too, Ready Aim Scale. And we've been doing public lives too as well now. Trying to get content out there for you guys during this time right now with all that pandemic going on and the recession and everything going crazy and messing up and all that stuff. We have people hopping on. Greg over here on Facebook. Good morning, man. What's up, man? Good morning.
Good morning.
And then there's Sheila. Sheila, good morning. She's if you guys are unaware of Sheila, she's awesome. She's been helping us out a lot with questions and stuff like that we overlook sometimes, and she brings it to our attention. Like, you forgot to answer this one. So, good morning, Sheila. How's it going?
Nice to see you. So I'm drinking my tea. I'm not even drinking coffee this morning. So like my brain was just having a minute. It was like, I don't know, girl.
Yeah.
It's on now. It's on.
Patty, good morning from Chicago. Hey, Patty.
Good morning,
how's it going?
Patty. Morocco. That's fun.
Yeah, like I said, any questions, guys, please ask them. We're going to knock out everything. Great, thanks. Hope all's doing well. All right. I think we should be good.
Right.
Whenever you're ready, D, go ahead and you're just gonna pop up your screen, and then we're gonna disappear too, guys. So we're not gonna show our faces on this side. We're just gonna go into full screen.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen to the broadcast. So I got that shared in there now.
Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Okay, boom, and then I'm out.
Sweet. Okay, so y'all can see me. So basically, first things first, we get a lot of questions when we're doing these KDP lives about like where people can find the template information for the sizing and the bleeds and the stuff like that you need when you're making an interior. So that is right inside of Kindle Direct Publishing, right? So I just wanted to like show you guys, if you click on those links from right inside, they have all of these tools and resources. Like they have the formatting stuff, the different file formats you can use, like all of that information is right inside of there. And then there's even a section in here where you can get templates for each of the page sizes, right? So it's it's saying try templates to create your own covers or in a program that will open pings or PDF files. And you can actually download templates by the size of the page that you're trying to create. So this is where you find it. It's right inside of KDP. I just wanted to like shout out to that right off of the top, because we get lots of questions about this. People are like, I don't know where to find the specs and stuff like that. And it's all right inside of here. And they also have like, Kindle Create, the step-by-step guide for Word. Like they have all this stuff right in here, like all of these links for you guys to be able to make the most of your KDP accounts. Okay, so if you're not super familiar with InDesign or like even Publisher or like layout programs in general, this is where you want to spend the first bulk of your time learning what basically the templates need to be sized at, learning if there's bleeds, learning how to lay these books out properly so that when you do upload them, there's less chances of you guys getting it kicked back to you because it's wrong format or you didn't leave a bleed or anything like that, okay? Second step that I wanted to show you is just, so I have both InDesign on my computer and I also have Affinity Publisher, right? So InDesign over here, basically, it looks a lot the same as Affinity Publisher over here, right? And you'll see like the one I have here is just one of those like this book belongs to pages. So inside of an activity book or a coloring book page, you're just going to lay out a spot for the kid to write their name if you're putting this coloring book page in there, so that they have some ownership of it, right? So basically, you'll see that like between InDesign and Affinity Publisher, the tools look almost like, I want to say they look pretty much the same, right? All of the same features are available inside of each of them, right? So they're just going to be in different places. So where I was so used to coming and working inside of InDesign, I was used to this classic layout where like I have a bunch of my tools on this side, and I also have some tools over onto the right side here. In Affinity Publisher, pretty much all of the tools are over here, and they still have that same thing for like text boxes, tables, just the same way that like InDesign does. So if you're somebody who is using InDesign, has found that, the 2020 version or the 2019 version that you're using is a little slower than you'd like it to be, and you're having like that hanging spinning wheel of death is what I call it. It's like that little beach ball that spins when it freezes because it's thinking. I just kind of moved over to Affinity Publisher just because it made things a lot easier. So that being said, I wanted to show you guys that also inside of InDesign, like if you had started laying out your books inside of InDesign and then you're moving over to Affinity Publisher, or even if somebody like on your team, like you had a VA start laying out some of your stuff, or you bought some template packs that are InDesign files, if you have InDesign on your computer, and you want to be able to open those files inside of Affinity Publisher, what you're going to do is you're just going to save it as, and you're going to use this file format here, InDesign CS4 or later, IDML. And when you save that, usually what I like to do, so I know it's an IDML, you just want to call it an IDML, okay? So then I will close this because that's all we're going to be looking at in InDesign today. So I'm just going to shut that one down. I'm going to come back over to Affinity Publisher. I'm going to open up the new file that I just saved. And sorry, my dog is about to start barking because he's just that way, just being like that. And here you see, this is a completed page that I have for my word search, but I'll show you. Open. And I'm going to show you guys how to lay this stuff out too in a second. I think let me
tell them how. So it's very important. Also to what Dee exactly said. It's very important that you guys understand the templates, the layouts, and stuff like that. The guidelines of KDP, because you can do all this stuff and then have one thing wrong, and your book is not going to be able to upload. Everything is just going to be, you're going to run into like a roadblock. And I've done this over and over and over at the beginning, and I do it sometimes too, because sometimes every once in a while. I'm like, dang, what did I do wrong? Oh, that's what I did wrong, because just one little thing that is slightly off will mess up the upload process of your book, and it will get rejected. So that's normal, guys. Okay.
Yeah, so if that happens to you, try not to feel like, it's the end of the world. You can always come back in and fix these things or ask somebody who you know who is on KDP to kind of look it over for you if you don't know what the issue is. But I just wanted to show you that this is really easy to lay out. So this is basically a word search page, right? Now, some people will use like word search generators. So like if you actually Google, like you type into Google word search generator, you'll find a bunch of tools that will actually generate based on a list of words that you'd like to put in a word search for you. It's a quick and easy way to do it. Some of those tools are free. Some of those tools are paid. I personally just like to create my own word searches because I don't find it all that hard. So all this literally is a table that's inside of Affinity Publisher, right? So I had already laid this table out using InDesign earlier, but if I hadn't laid this table out, basically I can just drop a table in here using this thing over here, right? Like I can just draw a new table. And then basically what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add in columns and rows until I have the appropriate number so that everything looks like it's a square, right? So I'm just going to keep inserting, see how like as soon as I insert the column, all of the columns get smaller, right? So I'm just going to keep doing that until basically it looks like I've got a square, and then I can resize this entire table when that's done. So I just wanted to show you guys like literally how easy this is. So like if you don't know how to do it to create a word search on your own, it's not like that. This hasn't even taken me probably like 3 minutes yet. And I'm almost to the point where we're down to the squares, right? So then you can actually like resize it, right? So here's our squares. So I can just literally delete this table. Oops. Sorry. It's selecting my whole table because I haven't got the whole thing selected properly, I think. Or maybe it's because it's an IDML file that I started with. Hold on. Delete that table. Ooh, there we go. And then I can move this table back up. See? So now we have like a table that we can use for our word search, right? And so if I had a list of words I wanted to put in here, literally I'm just going to make them go diagonal. I'm going to make them go every which type of way I need to make. So if I want to make my word list, I'm just going to come back over here and I'm going to drag and drop onto my screen just a text box, right? And I'm going to basically just start typing in the words that I want to put in my list. So if this was like an activity book, let's say like for 4 to 8, I don't even want to say 4 to 8. We'll say 4 to 6 year olds, right? So they're learning basic words. And let's say I was making a dinosaur themed activity book, right? I might put dinosaur in here. I might put egg. I might put, what else? T-Rex, right?
I think that was the only one I was going to say. Dinosaur T-Rex.
Well, T-Rex is probably hard because, unless I made it like this, because you don't want to put a dash in your puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm going to put in like words like this, right? And then literally all I'm going to do is I'm going to come inside of this area. I'm going to actually format it over here. So right now you can see my font, it's saying it's Minion Pro, and it's saying that my font size is 12. I'm just going to hold on to this and make my font size a little bit bigger and change it to something that's more kid friendly. So maybe I'm going to pick something, I don't know, a balloon text, right? And I'm going to just go ahead and type in the word, right? So if my word is dinosaur, I'm going to hide it in this puzzle, right? I'm just literally going to type it in. Oh, it didn't change my font for me for some reason, but I'll come back to it in a second. Okay, so dinosaur is now in my puzzle, and I'm just going to keep like putting words in this puzzle. So like if I wanted to put egg in there, I'll put egg over here. And basically, I'm just going to keep putting those words in, like maybe 5, 8 words. And then I'm just going to fill in whatever is left in terms of the blank space with letters that don't make any words, right? So I'm just going to select this again and try to do that again. Maybe I didn't select my font stuff right here. 16. Oh, it doesn't like me. It doesn't like my font resizing for some reason today. But okay, there we go, 16. And then I'm probably going to center this too, right? Like I don't want all those letters sitting off of the side like that. So I'm just going to center the letters inside of that character, right? So in a nutshell, like that's basically as simple as it is for you to just create a word search. You've got your word list down here. You've just got your table up here. And then if you wanted to add some graphics into it, and you had some free graphics, again, it's as simple as dragging and dropping those graphics either inside of a program like here, like Adobe Illustrator, or if you're downloading like clip art or you're using some form of subscription, like maybe you have an iStock account or something like that, you can drag and drop PNG files, JPEG files with white backgrounds or whatever to make this a little bit more engaging. Or naturally, if you're an illustrator, you can also, you know, illustrate your own pages. But basically, you're just putting in these words, right, inside of your puzzle. And then after, when that's done, you're going to go ahead and basically just change it so that like all of these little white boxes have a bunch of different letters in them so that it's not super obvious where your words are, right? It's kind of the same idea for even creating like a crossword puzzle. So I think the one thing that I do want to mention about Affinity, and if somebody knows Affinity better, because I've just been learning this tool, one thing I do want to mention is that I find that sometimes for reasons I'm unaware of, it doesn't quite keep the settings that you've asked for inside of a table. So like you saw there where I had to go and rechange my font because it had kept the original font, like this Minion Pro. It just kind of resets to that if there's no values in these columns. So if you are going to change the font, my suggestion is just let it use the original font that loads on your machine when they have this table. And then after you've got all of your letters in there and all of your words that you want people finding in there, then select the entire table and change it, because it will change. It's just if you're not finished working in it and you try to change it, you're going to have to keep changing it to a different font every single time. So that's just like a really quick thing in terms of word search. So like how you would put in your other letters, you would literally just do the same thing that we've been doing. Just pick your letters at random, right? Fill in those blank pages. And like when all of that's done, boom, there you have a word search with your little graphic, maybe down here in the corner, and it's an engaging piece of or page of your activity book puzzle, right? So you guys are lucky. I'm showing you a couple of my own pages today that are in the book that I'm working on. I'm not too worried that like anyone's going to try and copy it. I'm just, you know, but so inside Affinity Publisher, like I've been working on this one book and it's a themed book. So you'll notice like activities, like if you look up on Google, just activities to go inside of activity books, there's like word searches, there's crossword puzzles, there's like picture math, there's find the differences, there's a whole bunch of things. I'm kind of trying to keep mine based on words, right? So you'll notice this is like one of the pages that I'm working on. I've got like a word scramble, right? And so here, all of these words scramble out to be, or unscramble, I should say, into like actual words that make sense based on my story, right? And added some little graphics on the page to make it a little bit more engaging for the person who's going to be unscrambling these words. So because I know I'm working within a certain age range, I've also put little hints down here. If you know, looking at this seems difficult to make it fit in here, to make it like this word is adventure, right? So if they were having trouble figuring out what it is, they would come down here and they'd say, okay, here's the hint. An unusual and exciting experience or activity ends with URE. So now they know they only have to figure out these letters, right? So these are just kinds of things that you want to be thinking about when you are naturally laying out an activity book page. You want to be thinking with the age range of the people that the page is for, and you want to make sure that it's not too challenging for them, or that if they are struggling, there's a way for them to help themselves inside of the book, rather than having to like maybe disturb one of their parents or ask a question to somebody else, right? So in this case, like how I made this, I had my list of words. So, and then I just went over into random.org, and I'm going to show you guys this. So random.
You crushed that page. You made that?
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? What the heck?
It's fun, right?
Yeah,
so I had my list of words that I wanted to put into the scramble, right? But I literally came over here into random.org and I randomized that list after I was done so that like they weren't all in a specific order, because that specific order actually comes out of the book that I'm working on. So I didn't want it to be so easy that somebody could like just turn back to a couple pages. But there's also things that you can Google that will completely scramble the words for you as well. So if you are going to create a word scramble and like you type in a word like adventure, or you give it your list, right? Right, like this one is just going to shuffle the order of the words. So if I say randomize, it's going to change the order that I've typed it in. But there's actually ones that you can type in word scramble and it will just scramble them all up for you. You can copy them and paste them right back into your Affinity publisher page like I did here, and then create this section, which is the words when they're spelled correctly, right? So part of the theme that I'm working on, it's for a little bit older kids. So the reality for me is that I wanted the kids to, like in each page of my activity book, I wanted the pages to build on one another, right? So the next thing I did when it came to this, like they had this word scramble activity, and then the next thing they did was they have to then insert all those words that they unscrambled into a little story that I made, right? And so basically they have to figure out where those words go. And then in the end, they have to figure out a code that's inside of that story to find a clue to the next section, right? So you want to be thinking about stuff like that. Like it's engaging for, you know, the age range that I'm working on with this specific project, because it's like, now that they've used their brains to kind of unscramble these words, they're going to have to figure out exactly how they apply to the story that's inside the next set of pages, right? So that's what I mean when I say the pages build on one another. So like if they haven't done the work to unscramble this, they can't move on to the next pages, right? Yeah. So you want to be thinking about stuff like that. But just in terms of laying this out, like as simple as it gets, I'm just going to show you. So like if you go over to something like VectEasy. Oh, go ahead.
So they can't cheat then, right?
No, exactly. There's no cheating.
God damn it. I can't. When I was a kid, I'm like, yeah, I can probably get past this next page if I go over here and just finish all this real fast and then come back to this later. Everyone's hopping on. Everyone's saying good morning, Gonti. Patty's like, wow, really well done, D. I think I want to have D just to stay over on Etsy again. I can't have her come over here and create. She's crushing it right now. AJ, what's up? Good morning, man. Gonti, good morning. Jacqueline, hi. Davida. What's going on, Joy? What's going on, Neil? What's up, man? And there's a few questions in here for you, D, but we'll get to those after you get done finishing this. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys, like, if you're going to download some, like, clip art, so, like, say you bought something that you bought the commercial license to be able to use, or you're using something like Vector Portal or, like, this Vexels or whatever. If you download one of these, and I'm going to do it because I want to show you guys how, these ones are actually paid. Okay, I don't have a license for this one, but let me see. I know there's ones that are free. I think this one might be a free site. So let's see. Yeah, so it says download. That's over there. Save image as dinosaur silhouette. Okay. So if I wanted to swap out like a graphic on this page, literally just to show you guys how easy it is, I'm just going to go find file place. I'm inside of KDP here, my dinosaur vector. And there he is, right? And inside of KDP, you can inside of Affinity Publisher, you can like resize these just by clicking on those corners. You can tilt them in certain ways, right, to make them fit properly. You can send them to the back. right? So it's behind your letters. And you can just make this really easy and engaging for the kid that you're creating this puzzle page for, right? So like, that's literally as simple as it gets. Like, it can't get any simpler than that. You know, you've got your little graphic in there now. It's a bit more engaging. Naturally, this would be something that you have the commercial rights to use. But one of the cool things is if you actually use a vector graphic, so something like this one, right? So this came out of Adobe Illustrator. You can actually change the stroke of things to make it look more like other graphics that are currently on your pages. You can change the colors of them inside of here. And it's basically like it works with the vector, so you can make it wherever you want to make it, right? So that being said, like if you are using some sort of freebie site, like where you're downloading clip art or stuff like that, you can still use those clip art pieces to create your own experience so that it's more challenging for somebody to enter this exact same niche and copy exactly what you're doing using the same freebies that you have found online. Right. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. And then I'll show you another page, just one quick page. So I'll get out of this page. I'm not going to save it because I ruined it. but I'll find you another page. So here's another page that is in this same book that I'm working on. So the bakery crossword page, right? And so just like what you guys saw before, where I laid out the table and then I put in the words, that's basically what I did. So how the fastest way that I found to do this is to start with your answer key, right? So you're going to lay out your table, you're going to put in all the words. This is still a table. So you see how like when I click on that, you see all the little like graphic squares there. I have just basically turned off all of the surrounding, I guess you'd call them borders, and I've emphasized the borders for the crossword puzzle, right? So I actually used the exact same table that I had laid out in that word search at the start of this training, right? Like, and I just deleted all the content in there, turned off the borders, started with my answer key, and then I copied that backwards and deleted the words, right? So it's really simple. You again see here is the words for across and down. There's a little instruction about what they're supposed to do on this page. And then there's an instruction about how they find the hint, which is naturally determined by these little hearts, right? Like it tells them what order to put the letters in to unscramble the hint. But again, like you can see, I have vectors in here. I just dropped them and dragged them in. It's really simple. Like I've tried to use a font that's kind of interesting for kids, right? And it's not a super hard process. You just have to let yourself get creative, right? So like even if you can't draw, you can find these little clip art things on like Vecteezy or Vector Portal, or if you have an iStock account, or even on Creative Market, provided that you've paid for the commercial license, right? And then once you've paid for that license, like you can use the same graphics again and again, just like tweaking them a little bit so that they don't look the same on every single page, but it's engaging. So like if a kid wants to actually finish the crossword and then color in this page, I've kind of chosen a font up here that allows them to do that, so that like if they're taking a little break before they move on to the next section, everything's super cool.
Yeah, no. So also too, I want to bring this to your guys' attention, saying engaging, because you do not want it to be boring, right? And that's another thing too. It's like you don't want the kid to be there like, oh, this is boring, and I'm not gonna pay attention to this at all, right? I think that's a very important for you to understand. Like when you're creating this and making this unique interior, you want it to be really engaging, because this is just gonna help out. Like, it makes a big difference, right? And you're gonna make the kid is staying busy with the activity book, and then parents gonna see that, and they're gonna go back and, you know what, I'm gonna go buy another one, so Yeah,
Well, that's
thank you,
the
D.
thing. Like my big thing with the book that I'm creating is I want this book to keep kids busy for a long enough period of time, but in a way that they can actually challenge themselves to finish the pages, that it gives their parents that break that they're looking for by giving them this book. And it's a break that the parents don't have to feel guilty about, and that their kids are using their skills, right? They're using their spelling skills, they're using some logic skills to decode things. There's math in this book too. You know what I mean? So overall, they're using a bunch of the skills that they have already been taught in like their previous grades or whatever, but it's challenging enough that it keeps them busy and engaging enough, like in that if they are tired of kind of learning or like going through the activity pages, they can actually just start coloring in those pages to take a little break, right? Like that's the end goal. And I think it's an important thing to mention because like when you're laying in a book, like I'm brand new to KDP, right? So like I literally just figured out that my account was open like last month, right? And then I started thinking, okay, I want to make an activity book. I want to make this specific kind of activity book after I started doing some research and whatever. And it's important when you're thinking about the books and the types of books that you're going to create that you don't just phone it in, right? Like there are a million word search books. There are a million crossword puzzle books. Like what's going to make somebody pick yours over anybody else's that are already out there that might even be cheaper, right? So like you want to spend some time thinking about, okay, so like how many pages should this book have? What's the difficulty level? What about my interior pages are going to keep kids interested? What about my cover is going to draw the parent who's buying the book, because naturally ain't no kids out here with credit cards, onto buying this book for their specific kids. And then like if it's a good experience, if they're not constantly having to have mommy or daddy help them finish those puzzle pages or activity pages, right? How am I going to tell people what other books I have, right? So like thinking about all those things even before you start laying out your book. Like you want to have a plan in your head of, okay, so on this page, like on the back cover of my book, maybe I'm going to send them a link saying, here's how you find the rest of my collection or whatever, right?
D has in the back end on one of the pages a little bastard. Make sure you get your mom and daddy's email and sign up for the free sign up for the next free digital downloads or something like that in the back end.
Exactly.
Question. So like as far as everything, I think that a lot of people are gonna have a question about like the sizing of the interior itself. And we went over a lot of that at the very beginning of the very first live that we did was the research, right? So most of the interiors that we're seeing are 8.5 inches by 11 inches, right? That's like the normal size for an activity book.
That is the normal size for an activity book. And I'm glad you bring that up because I didn't really touch on that. But basically like inside of the KDP back end where I was showing you guys the links at the beginning of this training, there's templates there and they tell you what the bleed should be. And so like what a bleed is, if you don't know what a bleed is, like if you basically are going to lay out something on a page and you want it to run off the edge of a page, basically that's why you include the bleed, right? Because if you just put your image to the edge of that page, when it's going through a batch processing, cutting is not always perfect, right? Like the processing of the printing is not always perfect. So when the printer gets your page, that bleed just ensures that whatever image or vector or whatever that you've put way over the edge actually gets put over the edge and it's trimmed, it's cut down to size around that image, right? So inside of the templates, they tell you what the calculations for each of the different available page sizes are in terms of the bleeds, and they also tell you how thick the spine will be and whether the spine is going to take over certain parts of the interior pages so that you can actually account for that before you even get started, right? Like, so my suggestion is inside of the back end of KDP, spend some time looking at the tools and the links that they give you there because they give you PDF downloads of every single page size that you're looking for. But if the question is like, what page size should I use? The reality is like, it's very specific by niche, right? So like if you're doing an activity book or a coloring page book, naturally you're gonna wanna use like a normal sized page, like an 8.5 by 11 letter sized page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want the most room available that's not too expensive for them to be able to color on, or them to be able to do their activities on. If you're creating like a little storybook or something like that, you might not necessarily need that large of a space, because then you're going to try to fill that in with illustrations and words and whatever. And if you're not a great writer, like you don't have, this long story that's kind of like a novel, right? Then you're going to want to make the book a little bit smaller so that you're not having to write so many words, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just kind of make it interesting with the illustrations instead. So it just comes down to strategy, really, when you're trying to think of like, A, what's competing in this niche, and B, how do I stand out amongst what's competing already in this niche?
Yeah, I think that's very important too as well, because you can tell, like I can tell when people don't do the research by when they ask certain questions like that. And that's okay, because as you go along, guys, it's like, this type of stuff because you actually done the research, how many pages are in a book. And I've showed you, we showed you that in the very first live about doing the research, and you need to watch that because research is very important. You do not want to design a book, right? And then you go in a niche and you think it's going to sell, right? You think, okay, maybe this, but hopefully this sells. Like you're hoping that it sells. You want to give yourself the best opportunity for it to sell. So you want to go into a niche that has a demand, and that you're very unique in that niche and you're very different from everyone. And being more unique and creating a book that takes a little bit more time is going to create less competition for yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't understand that. I'm just like, create a book that takes time and be unique and be different on the inside. And Dee, if you guys don't know who Dee is, obviously you can see her interior. And that is a perfect example, right? And that's something that you want to understand. Is like when it comes down to this stuff, it's very important that you understand that. It's so crucial. I'm telling you. We have a few questions in here, Dee. Let's knock them out. Patty, do you use Affinity on both computer and iPad?
No, so I do all of my laying out of things like this on my computer. I have an iPad, like a brand new one, like one of them big ones. I use that to do my like illustrations and stuff, but I don't actually lay out my pages on that iPad. I just find like it's a lot easier for me in my process to kind of divide and conquer. So like I use the iPad to do drawings or like make little doodles. I port those drawings over because I have Adobe, right? So like I have the Adobe Draw over there, and it will just send it straight to my computer inside of Illustrator. And then I work on my page builds on my computer.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hit the next one. I know I have it on my computer. I don't have an iPad. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I love my iPad.
I know. No, I can tell. All right, Sheila. Did you create the graphics or are they purchased?
So I purchased some and I created some, and that was another distinction I wanted to make. Like, if you're gonna purchase some graphics, like from any kind of provider or whatever, you want to use those graphics in a way that like it's not going to be simple for somebody else to replicate your pages, right? And so what I did was like I purchased some, I made some doodles on my own inside of like what I just said, the iPad Adobe Draw, and I moved them over. And then when I did my layouts, I tried to make sure that I blended some of the different designs that I'd purchased with some of my own designs, so that it wasn't like, anyone could just copy exactly what they saw on my screen.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of sites out there that you guys can use when it comes to the graphics, and you guys know that. And also too, I'm a big fan. Okay, I'm a big fan of outsourcing, right? And like for me, for example, I have a full-time illustrator on my team. He's an awesome guy, right? And I've got to know him over the last 4 years. And he's just a real cool guy. So like anything that I need to be drawn up, he does it for me and stuff like that. And really good hearted guy. So we've been working together for a long time. And I'm a big fan of you building a relationship with somebody and making them part of your team full time. And during this time, he's been scared of everything that's going on and think he's going to lose his job and stuff like that. And it's not going to happen. The homie's sticking next to me. So There's a few more. Let's see. It's up to D. You want to disclose your? Can you show us some of the vector sites?
Not really. Love y'all. Love you, Patty, but no. No. I'll tell you honestly, like a lot of times I do go on Creative Market and I will find things on there. I have an iStock account as well, and I will pay for the extended license on there if I need to, if I find something that's really unique and that I know I want to use. Outside of that, there's tons of different tools. Like you could literally just Google right now, free commercial use. Actually, I have a Google tab open for this exact purpose. Free commercial vector graphics. I'm going to show you so that you guys can see it.
Okay, you gonna share your screen again?
Yeah, so I shared it.
Boom.
So can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like free commercial vector graphics, and a whole list of like stuff comes up. Vector stock, that graphic design junction, like there's a whole bunch of different options for y'all. And so it's just, it doesn't take very long for you to find what you're looking for. Like even if you just open up like 3 of these different links, right, and you start just typing in the kinds of images that you're looking for, you're going to find what you need just by doing this, right? Like there's even related searches, free vectors for commercial use, no attribution. And then there's sites that give you that information as well, right? So that's just to say that like, it's not super difficult to figure out like where to find your graphics. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an illustrator, like Creative Market's a huge one, iStock's a huge one, VectEasy does it. Even if you have to pay a little bit, like, you know, $12, $15, if that's going to help you get your book up and launched and making money on KDP, it's well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kristen, what's up? What's going on? Good morning. Hope you're having a good morning so far. And then Ganti, what's up, man? What's going on, Ganti? Thank you for the wonderful training. Sorry for a lot of questions. How many pages in your book? Ideal number of pages for the activity books. Are you filling in both sides of the sheet?
We'll do this one by one.
Okay. So how many pages per book?
Okay, so how many pages per book? So I had planned for my first book, the book that I just shared some pages out of, I had planned for that to be a 50-page book, right? And that's because when I did my research, the number one book selling activity book that's in the same theme that I'm going for had 50 pages, okay? So I'm coming for that number one space, right? Like I want to compete with them. Now, that being said, I have started to develop and build this book out, and my book is looking like it's probably going to end up being closer to 75 pages than the original 50 I had planned, right? So
I couldn't tell if it was going to be number one. I couldn't tell at all.
But that's okay. So like, my goal, so like right there alone, I started out thinking, okay, it's going to be 50. And as I've started to kind of develop this book, the storyline is taking it into a lengthier kind of set of pages. And I think that that's a value add in that, like for the age range that I'm targeting, right? Like it will keep them busy even that much longer. And it might, like, I might just, even to be a dick, price it right at the same as the 50-page book. You know what I mean? Just to make sure that I'm like, hey, I'm coming up right behind you. So, so then are you filling in both sides of the sheet? For the activity book, I am filling in both sides of the sheet if it's not a coloring page, okay? Mm-hmm. On the pages where I think people will feel encouraged to color, I'm leaving the next page blank, because if you color with markers, or if they color too hard, or if they color with, you know, paint instead of coloring with a marker or something like that, there's a chance that it will bleed through and ruin the second page that's on the back, right? Yeah. So I don't want that to happen inside of the book. So I'm going to leave the pages where people are encouraged to color blank on the back, and then all of the other pages will be front and back.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you filling, oh, sorry, if the back side of each page is left blank, do you fill it with a dark design? No, I have not been doing that. I'm just leaving them blank. Because my thing about that is, like, you also want to think about how much it costs to create the book, in terms of like what you're going to be able to price it for. And if you're putting in like fully black background pages on things, that's more ink to print, right? Like, so I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's necessary. Just like leave those pages blank white. And of course you're working with a black interior already, which, you know.
No, I think when it comes down to all this, Ganti, this is basically for anyone. When you research your niche, like you want to get the system in place, right? We talk about this all the time. It's very important that you understand this. So if you create a 30-page activity book, you want to write down all the ideas of everything that you're going to put in there, so you can start chipping away. So you create a word search, right? You create 5 of those unique word searches for that book, right? You're chipping away little by little, instead of looking at it as I have to create 50 pages. I don't know how to do this. No, start with one activity at a time and then build from that. And you see a lot of these activity books using the same illustrations, right? They're just putting it in different locations, excuse me. And so you got to understand that too. So don't overthink this. And you put it 15 days, 15 hours. So if you do 2 hours instead of 1 hour a day, you're literally cut that time in half, right? Cut it down to almost like a week, right? Now, if you do 3 hours a day, right, now you're getting somewhere. So keep that in mind too, as well. Once you have your template down, just get to work. Okay. It's not going to be like, maybe the next live is I'm going to make $1,000. No, so you got to get to work. You got to get to work. That's going to take some time. It's not going to just happen overnight. And I know you know that. So it's important. Important.
Yeah, 100% it is. So then he's saying ideal pricing for black and white interiors. So when you say ideal pricing for black and white interiors, as in you're going to sell interiors to other people, or as in you're purchasing interiors and you want to know what's a good price to buy them for, or as in what are you pricing this for on KDP, like a book that has a black and white interior? Yeah,
I think that's what ideal. So the black and white interior. So the pricing strategy that you're going to use, like when you go on to KDP, there's a few different ways.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Like I'm kind of looking at what's happening across the niche that I'm trying to enter and seeing what the books are priced for there. And then I'm just going to try and stay competitive with the pricing until I've got those few sales and those few reviews. And then I'll probably bump the pricing up a little bit if my book is doing better than other people's, right? Yeah. So that's going to be my strategy going in. Like I said, full disclosure, like I'm new to KDP, so it's not a thing, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to test it out and see how that goes.
Yeah, no, I've been testing a lot of other books, like selling real low, and then selling real low, then pricing it really high, or not really high to the competition, right? So but then I've been testing where I'm just pricing straight to my competition, right? And they've been making sales too. So I'm just like, all right, am I wasting time at pricing it really low and not getting that first $2 or $3 royalty? So something to think about too. It's all about testing the market, and it looks like going straight to the price that you want to sell it at is working really well. Of course, you're not going to sell it at $12 with no audience, $13 with no audience. If you have an audience, then you can mess with the price a little bit more. But as far as everything else, it's like anywhere between $5 to $8 seems to be like the sweet spot. I've sold books during Q4 at $9 a book, and they crushed it. You know what I mean? So it's something to think about. You want to test the market, see the pricing strategy. It's all about testing and figuring out your audience, and will they buy the book at this price? Is the quality of your book this good? Will they buy it? You know what I mean? So Patty with another question.
Okay, so I'm really new to activity books, but started with PowerPoint, which has been really easy. Is there a distinct advantage to Affinity, or have you compared it all? So I use PowerPoint or Keynote on a regular to make, so you're in Ready Aim Scale. So to make all of those like videos and things that we make for Ready Aim Scale, I have the PowerPoint slide decks in there and whatever else. I don't know. I haven't used it for making my KDP books because I come from a design background, right? So like knowing that literally I subscribe to Adobe Creative Cloud, I have all of the publisher tools on my computer at my disposal as it is, and I know how to use all those things. You would not find somebody like me doing PowerPoint or using PowerPoint to create my pages just because of the background that I come from in terms of graphic design, right? But that being said, if it's working for you, absolutely use it. Like I'm not saying you have to have all of these other tools that might be more expensive or you don't already own in your machine or whatever in order to be successful. You can lay those things out in PowerPoint. Like theoretically thinking about it, yes, I could lay out these exact same pages inside of a PowerPoint or a Keynote document. I don't know if I could add the bleeds the same way if I wanted my graphics to run off the edges. I almost don't think I can, because I don't think that that's how PowerPoint or Keynote is traditionally used. But honestly, I'm not familiar, so I can't say for sure either way. I find, for me personally, the benefit of using a publishing tool is that you get some valuable added options. So like even inside of an Affinity publisher, if I want to create a template that I can use over and over and over again, I can save something as a template that then loads inside of my templates. So for my work process, every single time I load that template, I'm not having to resave it, rename it, change all that stuff. Like it knows it's a template. It knows I'm just wanting this page to look like that template, right? And it makes it a super simple process for me. Another thing that I can do inside of Affinity and InDesign that I can't do necessarily as well with PowerPoint or Keynote is create a PDF, right? So when I go to export that PDF from PowerPoint, sometimes what I find is if my graphics are too big, they will break, or there will be lines in between them that are not on the original graphic, or they won't be as high quality if I'm comparing them side by side. Like one will look grainy and kind of pixelated where the other one won't. That's what publishing tools excel at, is making sure that like all the lines are crisp, everything is exactly as it's shown on your actual document. Putting all of the pages together after that, like there are options. Like we could dive into like a deep dive on each of these tools and what you can do with them. But there are options like if you wanted to create a booklet, like if you weren't using Amazon, like through Kindle Direct Publishing, you wanted to send this off to a different printer that you were using, how like a binding booklet, like how the page would just, or your document would just relay itself out. All of those kinds of things, like being able to pre-flight things to find out if errors are happening, if there's overset text, all of that kind of stuff is where the publishing tools will excel over something like PowerPoint or Keynote.
No. Also, too, just a lot of feedback that I've been getting too, just like from people going from PowerPoint to Infinity. People are loving it. It's so much user friendly and stuff like that. People are actually enjoying the actual tool. So you're like me. I'm just like, oh god, like I get stuck like in Adobe trying to use Photoshop. I was like, oh god, just Photoshop in general. I was like, oh god, I am not.
I'm telling you, like I felt the same way coming from InDesign, because like literally InDesign was just hanging and hanging and hanging, because there's a weird little bug which Adobe is probably going to fix soon, but like it was bothering me because I'm like, I'm in this now for too long. You know what I mean? And it's like the spinning beach ball. I was like getting angry. So I was like, you know what? I have Affinity Publisher, whatever. Like, I'm just going to open it and see what I can do. And I was really surprised at how intuitive it is. Like, it's very easy for you to see, like, how to drag and drop a table, like I showed you guys earlier, or how to drag and drop some text, how to change your text font sizes and colors and things like that. It's very, very intuitive. And I found even if I couldn't figure it out, if I was like, oh, like when I was doing the crossword puzzle, for instance, I was trying to figure out how to like make those borders go away and then emphasize only the ones that I wanted. So I couldn't figure it out like organically on my own. And I just Googled it and there was an answer right there on the Affinity forum, right? So like, even if you're struggling with something, literally they have videos over there at Affinity. They have like a forum of people who would have that probably same exact issue that you're having. It's worth it.
Yeah, no, for sure. AJ, unique is fun. I know you're typing unique. Vita, awesome video. I have Infinity. I most of the time buy
mostly buy for interiors. But that's the thing. Get in there and play with it. Like, you're not going to break anything. You might as well just go try to hone some of your skills. Get in there and play with it if it's already on your machine. Like, you already bought it, so you might as well.
Yeah. No. Patty, I think your book looks great. I believe it can beat your competitor's book, but once you launch it, how you get exposure to the book? Do you run ads first or no? Or would you reuse any content as Would you reuse any content as printables?
So this is what we were talking about, I think, like a couple KDP lives ago, like maybe on the first one. So I think on the first KDP live that we did public, I said my strategy here, it basically starts with the research, right? So in the research that I was doing, when I decided what, like even before I decided what book I was going to start with, I found a bunch of groups on Facebook where like parents were hanging out looking for activities. I joined a bunch of library groups and kind of started chatting with some of the group, like the youth librarians. So like there's actually like a category of librarians. I don't know if most people know this, but there's different categories at each of your public libraries, ones that are for kids, ones that are for youth, ones that are for adults, ones that are for people with like special needs. They're actually different subsets of the job, right? So I started reaching out to some of like the youth, the librarians, the ones that would be like seeing what books are out there, seeing activity books, like doing the activities, running those activities for the age groups that I'm targeting. And I don't feel like I'm really going to have to work extra hard as a result of having done that research and as a result of being in those groups now to promote this book once it launches, right? Because part of it has been, I've like bounced my ideas off of the people who are active in those groups to see like, A, would you want a book like this? Or what do you hate about certain activity books or whatever? Like I've already gotten that baseline of research. And some people like who I've shared, just like with you guys, like I've shared a couple pages with are like, oh my gosh, when is that book coming? Like, they're like waiting for the book already, right? So I'm not going to run any ads to it. Like I said, I'm brand new on KDP. What I'm going to do right out of the gate is use the traditional things that I'm used to using, which is like Facebook groups, building a newsletter, doing the things that are not going to cost me money right out of the gate until I've actually got some sales and some income coming in from KDP. And then I can reinvest that income into those ads and things like that, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. And I think as far as like ads and stuff like that, I've been testing a lot of that stuff on Amazon and AMS, and they do work. They do. And there's times where I make sales like the next day on books. So there's a few different ways that she could definitely do it. And if she has questions about AMS, of course, she's just a question away from asking me. So,
well, and that's the other thing too. Like in terms of reusing any of the content as printables, that's not so. Like I have extra content that will play with the theme of my book. That is basically I'm using to drive some additional traffic in a sense. So like RJ said it earlier, like on one page of my book, basically, or actually it's 3 pages now, it's 3 separate pages. Basically it like once you finished a section of my book, you'll get told, oh, you won a little prize. Go over here, enter your email to download your free like pages. And it'll be a short, small kind of thumbnail version of those pages. And because they're free and I'm creating them alongside this specific theme and this specific book, I think it's going to drive a lot of traffic over there to get some extra free pages, right? Like even if it happens after they're done the book or after they're done one section of the book before they start the next section, they just want something else to do. I think it's a really dead simple way to start collecting people's email addresses so that I can start marketing to those people with every single launch of every new book that I make.
Yeah, I think also too, it's I've been kind of thinking about it. It's like it's so much easier to market a book and share it with somebody because it's like then compared to like a shirt or any like other product, a book is like a more of a physical, like it's like content, right? It's like a learning, like if you create a learning book, it's like here, check it out. I created this. It's for your daughter, for your son, or whatever. That right there alone, they're like, what? For real? It's like next level. Like, oh yeah, check out my shirt. Let me send you my link. Buy this now. And the book is like, no, I'm going to support you because this is really cool. Like, you know what I mean? It's a different vibe I get when you're asking. It's like when you share a link with somebody, it's not like, here, buy this. Oh, they just want me to buy their product. No, you share a book. It's different. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Gandhi, D, your interior look fabulous, and your storyline will keep the kid captivated. Excellent thought process. I appreciate your share. Thank you.
Welcome, Dante. Thank you for joining us.
Ron, what's up, man? Good morning. Okay, Patty, one more question right here. Would you consider adding your activity book to an Etsy store where you already have viewers, or could you even do that?
So this is what I don't know if you were on with us in one of the last lives that we talked about this, but I was asking RJ. This is what I was asking RJ. So I was asking RJ if I could buy my own book from KDP already printed, right? Like if I don't have a printer to use for this, just kind of stock it in my basement kind of thing. And then like when people order it from an Etsy store or a Shopify store, ship it myself, like fulfill it myself. Or even, if I had like a space at a fulfillment provider that I'm renting, put the books over there and have that person fulfill it every single time an order comes in from Etsy. So I think the answer was that that's okay to do if you're selling your own stuff. Right. But you can't use them as a drop shipper. So like you can't use KDP as a drop shipper, like by ordering books to send out directly from KDP. But if you order a bunch of your own, or you work with a different printer, like to get these books bound up, then it's your content, right? Like just because you put it on Kindle Direct Publishing doesn't mean that Amazon all of a sudden owns your copyright, So you can do whatever you want with your book, provided that naturally the graphics are all commercially free, like, or you pay for extra licenses. You haven't copied anybody, like you haven't infringed on anyone's copyrights or trademarks, and it is legit yours. So yeah, like I am definitely considering the options for that, like having it up on Etsy, having it up on Shopify, driving traffic that way. But obviously I need more than one book done. No. In order to do that,
No, I think once you guys leverage, it's all about leveraging these platforms, right? And getting different eyes on your book and stuff. It's important that you do that when you're first starting off, because it's going to increase the chances of you making a sale, right? It only makes sense, but you just got to make sure you put your full effort into it. Like you just don't throw it up there. Hopefully it sells. No, you want to put it up there like it's going to sell. Okay. And I see a lot of people doing that. And that's why they do the Printful to Etsy integration. It's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna put my design and push it through. I'm gonna throw up 1,000 designs. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Just focus on the quality, right? Focus on the quality of the design, focus on the quality of the listing, and you'll see the difference. You're gonna see the traffic and all that stuff pick up. So it's very important that you guys understand that. Ron Watt, Benny's burrito on me. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I had a burrito last night, right? It was sorry, I don't know if you guys want to hear this, but I had a burrito last surf and turf burrito. It was pretty bomb. And then my girlfriend had carne asada fries. Those Mexican white girls, carne asada fries. Kristen, I'm doing my coloring books as digital downloads on Etsy. Awesome. What's up? What's going on, homie? What's going on? AJ, everybody and their mother are selling shirts now. And so books definitely stick out more. Also, too, this is for a perfect example. I was going to talk about this earlier. Dee shared her interior of her book. You know how long that's going to take for someone to copy? It's not even worth it. Think about it. Think about it right there. It's not worth it. It's going to take some time to copy it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would they do that when it's going to take time? And they can't zoom in to get the resolution that they want. And AJ, order your book at the lowest cost possible, not author's copy. Sell it to whoever you want. Easy to fill in envelopes, flat mailers, media mail. Shipping is cheap. That is very true. Very, very, very true. No, if you guys have any other questions at all, we're gonna pretty much end it right there. We're hit the hour mark. It's the content that we plan on delivering. If you guys are unaware too as well, we do have a private group, Ready, Aim, Scale. And this is basically, check this out. I was thinking about this yesterday. It filters out a lot of the people, right? And of course we charge for that. We charge $20 a month for the Ready, Aim, Scale, but it's a private group with other like-minded individuals, right? And we also do weekly calls there too as well. We do little mini challenges. Did a KDP mini challenge for the month of April. We got to figure out what we're going to do for the month of May. And then we do weekly graphics too as well, custom line drawings and stuff, custom illustrations. But as far as that, it's like it filters out a lot of people. And you see that we have other like-minded individuals in there that are crushing it too as well. We have a few people that have books in there that are doing, what are they doing? They're doing like 20 to 30 sales a day or something like that. They're at 10K BSR on average every single day. His name is Paul. Crushes it with KDP. And there's a few others that crush it with KDP too as well in there. And other platforms too, like Etsy, merch by Amazon. Everyone's crushing it right now, right? Because it's not open. So, yeah, if you guys are unaware of that, I'm going to drop the link right here in the comments. You guys can go ahead and check that out. Sign up if you guys haven't.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we do this exact thing. So like we do a live every single week where you guys can ask us questions in that group. There's a training library that has a bunch of content on how to get set up on Etsy, how to do some marketing. There's free graphic packs. We talk about merch and KDP. So there's a lot of content and a lot of value in that group. If you're looking to take your own e-commerce thing or your digital thing to the next level, and you need some help figuring out what steps exactly to take. So yeah, sign up and join us, and then you can hang out with us way more often.
Bridget, thank you for sharing so much, such great information. You guys are the best.
Thanks for coming, Bridget.
I love your profile picture, by the way. Awesome. Kristen, I started off my books by ordering some, sending to friends, and doing AMS. Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
And AMS is very, you got to understand it. Takes some time. Christopher, I do a lot of photography on the side. Do you know any way where that I can quickly turn these into line drawings for coloring books? That's you can sketch, but it will turn into more of you would have to do some work on that. That's actually pretty interesting. I would, you know what? Like I can see like you streamlining this process. If you can find somebody, right? You want to focus more on the picture, right? The quality of the you want to focus on your creativity of taking the picture. And if you can send it to somebody, Christopher, and they can actually take out like the color and turn it into line drawing, dude. So you streamline that process so fast, and next thing you know, you have 300 line drawings, right? You taking pictures of the city, right? Let's say, for example, I thought about that too, because you can go take a picture of the city, right? And you can do like a city coloring book. Like say, for example, San Diego, Los Angeles, New York, right? You just take pictures around the whole city and then you get the line drawings from that, right? And you can create like a New York coloring book. You have to make sure that's okay, of course, but something like that, there's some ideas right there behind that. So
yeah, and I think there are naturally, like inside of Illustrator, you can basically trace your own stuff. It's called like a graphic trace. It doesn't usually yield the best results or provide like the most quality results in doing so. But that being said, if you were working with a graphic designer or somebody who's really well versed in those tools, it'll probably be faster for them to actually go back in and make the trace images look a lot tighter and cleaner and like they've been done by hand as opposed to by the computer, so that, it's a fast process in terms of turnaround if you're able to find somebody to do that for you.
Yeah, but that's actually really cool though. I think that's really dope. Good question, Christopher. That's pretty cool. Ganti, you said thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the wonderful educational webinars. Man, I hate to get up this early. I agree with you there, Ganti. No, but I'm gonna get up and get a lot of stuff done right now too as well. I'm not a morning person either, but I'll get up. But I'm not a mean person either. So like you can see, like I'm not a mean, like I don't wake up grumpy or none of that stuff. Only time I get grumpy is when I'm hungry. Okay, there you go. Patty, thanks. This was great.
Thank you, Patty, for joining us.
Trying to figure it out. Yeah, no. AJ in there with a few, same. I'm trying to not have to use the pen tool on the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of unavoidable. Unfortunately, line drawings, you're probably going to have to do that unless you have some sort of like if you have Adobe Illustrator on your machine and you also have some sort of iPad or tablet that has the Adobe Draw on it, you might be able to use a pen instead of like an actual pen. Like, and I'll show you just real quick before we hop off. I'll show you what my setup looks like. I just got to go get it, so I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So on mine, like you have a stylus, right? So like I have the iPad, whatever the newest one is. I don't even know what version it is, but this is my iPad, right? And it comes with this pen thing. I don't know if y'all can see that. Yeah. It's not really a pen. It's the Apple Pencil, okay? Yeah. And so this is pressure sensitive. And inside of the tool, I don't know if it's screen to screen, it's actually going to let you see a lot of this, but I hope it does. So I'm just going to open up Draw, right? Just this. Okay, so inside of the tool, I don't know if you can see that. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, you drew that.
Right? So just a page, I was just like messing around doodling. But inside of the tool, you can see like over onto this side here, it's got a bunch of the different like types of pencil, right? And if I play, like if I hold this pencil on top of that, I can change, you know, the width of the pencil, how it actually colors, all of that kind of stuff, right? So ultimately, if you were going to do the work yourself, you would probably want to do it with a stylus and a tablet. I don't necessarily know, like I don't know your business, so I don't necessarily know if that's the best use of your time. If you can hire it out and somebody else has these tools and can get this done much more quickly for you, it's definitely a good idea.
AJ says Adobe Capture can turn photos into line drawings. You can easily import something right there. Maybe you want to test that out. What did you say the app was, D?
I have Adobe Draw on mine.
Adobe Draw.
Yeah.
Patty. Yeah. No. All right. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and call it right there. Any other questions? Please comment on the videos. And like I said too before, I'm gonna put, if you guys haven't signed up for Ready Aim Scale, we're gonna go ahead and put that information in there too as well. We're gonna be bringing the content, bringing the heat, teaching you guys everything. And if you guys support us and you guys love what we do and love who we are, you don't have to love who we are, but if you love what we do, go ahead and sign up for Ready Aim Scale. Yeah.
Sure that we're grateful for y'all coming in and joining us on these lives and like listening to us and asking your questions. Like this gives us something fun for us to do too. Like we actually really love helping people, and we really love seeing you guys be successful with the tips and the tricks that we show you. And yeah, so ultimately more of that is awesome too.
All right, so yeah, guys, the links are going to be in the description. Yeah, any questions? Please let us know. Are those okay? Get Ron Watt in here. One last question: are those programs exclusively to iPad Pro or regular iPads?
Adobe Draw works on all of them.
Yeah, I think
yeah. So like, because it's an Adobe product, so like literally it works on Macs, it works on regular PCs, it works on my Samsung tablet has it as well. Yes, I do. I also have a Samsung. I'm like the weirdest person when it comes to like all the technology. I think I have like 4 Macs right now and 2 tablets. Obviously, that's way too many for like any one person, but like I do a lot of different things on them. So
yeah. Right? Cool pic, Ron. I remember that picture. I was on the side of you, man. You cropped me up. Profile picture we're at over here. We're right over here on the corner and take that picture together. I think that's the one. Yeah. All right, Ron. Everyone, you guys have an awesome weekend. Be safe out there. Much love. I'm going to put up a poll too, guys. We're going to continue with the KDP, but I definitely do want to know what else is it that you guys want to learn so we can actually throw it out there, right? And show you guys everything. And a perfect example was Dee. Like, she shared her interior, like her first book that she's going to be doing with you guys. And I think that's really cool. So thank you very much, Dee, for doing that, and really appreciate that, because she didn't have to do that. She shared something like very special, her first book, and that's pretty cool. So thank you very much. And another thing I want to emphasize is, like, tell us what you guys want to learn. Ask the questions, because we're here to help you guys. And if you guys don't ask the questions, how the hell are we supposed to know what you guys need help with? So, yeah, guys, have an awesome week and be safe out there. Much love.
All right. Bye, guys.